hand this over to Jessica, Leslie, and Xiao. And just before I do, I want to just say a few words about this. So this is a follow-up from our panel, our discussion between Jessica and Leslie at Tech Inclusion 2019. They wowed the crowd when they took the stage with their little newborns and had a real conversation about what it means to be a parent and an entrepreneur. So this is the next level. We asked them to come back, added Xiao, and asked them to talk about what's different, what's new, what's real, what's happening now. So welcome, Jessica, Leslie, and Xiao.
Thank you, Michaela. All right, are we all with me? Okay, took me a second to get there. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Eggert. I am the CEO and co-founder of LegUp, and this is Marie, my 9-month-old daughter. And Leslie.
I'll go. Hi everybody, I'm Leslie Feinzaig. I am the founder and CEO of the Female Founders Alliance. This is Ruth. She's very excited to see all of you. And Xiao, do you want to go?
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Xiao Wang. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Boundless Immigration. And this is Felix, and he is sleeping right now, but that can change at any moment.
And 11 weeks old. Let's talk about that.
He's 11 weeks old.
We're going to discuss all of that. Like everyone has mentioned, Melinda mentioned that we joined the conference last year in San Francisco. And I barely remember the conversation because my daughter was 3 weeks old at the time, and Ruth was 11 weeks old.
Ruth was 11 weeks old. She just turned 1. We have 6 teeth. We had a Zoom birthday party. And her sister Dora, who is 4, is upstairs doing her yoga class, I think.
Oh. And so last time we talked about what it was like parenting as founders and in the tech world, right? Both of us Leslie and I both have other children. Like she mentioned, Dora is 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And my son Oliver is 7 years old, and we've both been in technology for at least the last decade. And so now we're here to talk about what it's like parenting in a pandemic, what this experience has been like for everybody, but not just parenting, also leading through this. So to get the conversation started, Leslie, I'll start with you. Let's talk about what this experience has been like as a working parent and as a leader, right? You run a team, a good sized team. What's it been like for you? How's it been different since now, or from now and then before the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, because Ruth was born when my team was already formed, I've brought parenthood into work with this team specifically literally from day one, and most of us are parents. So it's not so much a before and after. I think the big difference for our team right now is that we inevitably have to bring the whole experience of parenting into the office because we are frequently, doing Zoom calls with the kids, and one of our people is homeschooling because she has an older child, like I think 10 years old. Homeschooling seems to be its own kind of misery that, I complain a lot about not having help with toddlers. What's she eating? But homeschooling has just been like, people are not prepared to homeschool while at the same time doing their jobs. So, we stopped sending the girls to daycare and lost our childcare 2 months ago, very early in March. We have 2 full-time jobs, my husband and I, and have basically been running an in-home daycare in between. We finally now this week have a nanny coming in during the day to help us. But the 8 weeks that we went fully quarantined without any help have been, I just wrote about it, some of the hardest of my life. While also, ironically, I'm not one of those people who says that moms or parents, working parents, are the most productive in the world. I'm actually not very productive, but I think we are much, much better at prioritizing because we're forced to be. So ironically, even though it's been some of the hardest weeks of my life, it's also been some of the most effective weeks of my life. Like the things that we've accomplished are just a little bit crazy. What about you, Jess and Xiao?
Me,
I'm gonna mute because like Ruth is just
no worries. I agree with you. They have been very difficult. We did get very lucky. Like I mentioned, I have a 7-year-old who's in 1st grade, so we are homeschooling. But we got very lucky, and our au pair actually started 2 days before the full shutdown, and before they stopped letting people au pairs fly. And we're so blessed and like incredibly privileged to have gotten into this situation. Homeschooling has been a complete bear for us. Homeschooling, and then while working and having that conversation every day with a 7-year-old who, why is coronavirus, this is killing people? Are we going to get it? Why do I have to do school? How come you don't know how to do this math, Mom? This Common Core math? It's been interesting. But one of the biggest things that has happened for me has been around mental health. I actually had to step up and like increase my therapy to once a week, just to be able to kind of cope with everything, not just what was happening to the community, but what was happening in our home. And something my therapist and I have talked about just last week actually was that there is no separation between home and work anymore, right? Every day I dropped my son off at school, a nanny came, or we would take my daughter to daycare part-time. And then I would go to work, and I'd have this transition period of the drive or the bus ride into the office. And I would get to, end one phase and then begin a next phase. And there is no separation anymore, right? I'd go into my office, which is my bedroom, because my husband and I need very separate spaces. I did not realize who he was as an employee, and he didn't understand what I was either. And so we have we have separate spaces. I walk into my room and I close my door on my 7-year-old who's like, can you play with me? Like, isn't it playtime? Why can't you spend time with me? Or my daughter who's crying for me in the next room because the second she hears any of my, like even the little sound from me, she freaks out. And so I think that has been the hardest transition. And then also just supporting my team, like trying to support a family through this, trying to support my own mental health, and then trying to support our team as well. It's been, parenting in a pandemic has been a challenge, but one that I'm trying to embrace as a new normal. Now, how about for you? You don't know parenting before a pandemic. What's it been like for you?
I think that it's the confluence of two things, right? So one is I've been blissfully ignorant of what parenting was like before, and then I think this is one of those really frustrating things for like very, I would call quantitative analytical people like myself, where there's clearly wrong ways to do this, but there's no like right way. Right? And so you kind of feel it out the way it is. I think what's been challenging overall is, as balancing both taking care of, Felix, my son, my wife, who has also been going through this first time, as well as trying to navigate getting our company through, this crisis. So, we have about a 50-person company. We were, probably on track to raise our Series B this year. That's gone out the window in the span of, he was born on March 1st. And, credit to my team. I stayed my hardest to be off of, email and Slack for a week. And during that week, my leadership team made the decision to shut down the office and have everyone work from home. And I've been just wildly impressed with that they felt comfortable doing that. And I think that that's something around like all of this is about letting go. I mean, I think that's a fundamental lesson of leadership is like, how do you start giving away your Legos and letting people, other people like take on, you know, important decisions and important projects. And I was really impressed with the way that the team did that. But the hard part was like, then for the following 4 weeks, I just watched our traffic decline by 10 to 20% every week. And it just kept going down, down, down. And you're like, I don't know where the floor is. I don't know how this is going to like work. What do we do with our team? What do we do with, you know, everyone else with their families as well? So it, you know, it's a combination of like, hey, how can I adjust to this new life? And amazingly, the human body, like I used to be, you know, a 7 to 8 hour a night person. And I'm just still blown away by how like your body just figures it out. Whether or not I'm making better, you know, I'm making worse decisions now probably, but you know, I'm still here. Between balancing like sort of this new normal with like having a degree of empathy towards like an entire team that's all struggling through their own issues. I just was talking to someone today about another new parent on my team, and was describing this similar to like running a marathon, where, you know, everyone runs at different paces, but it hurts like everyone the same. And I think that that's something that, you know, trying to balance everything around your own, you know, mental health, as Jessica talked about, your physical health, your relationship health, trying to adjust to this new normal with understanding that everyone on your team is dealing with the same like problems or dealing with the same amount of stress in different ways, in unique ways. And then couple on top of that, like this existential threat of, you know, we need to exist and we need to hit these targets if we want to keep the team together, and not have to do any layoffs. And it's trying to, you know, both balance all these three things, which is hard, but also being like naming them and being deliberate about when you're optimizing for one of these legs of the stool over the other.
Yeah, I think this is a good segue into talking about expectations and setting expectations, right? As leaders, but also as working parents. What, Leslie, what have you done to kind of set expectations with your team? We all have massive goals to hit, right? We still have companies to run, but we're also all going through, like something is happening to all of us. So Leslie, how have you set expectations?
So first I want to acknowledge that I don't have all the answers. None of your leaders have all the answers. And one of the things that has been really hard right now is that everybody who is at the top trying to make the decisions that affect everybody is also profoundly impacted themselves. So the three of us as like company leaders, like talking about this stuff I don't want it to look like we know exactly what we're doing. It's actually quite the opposite. It's very difficult to have to parent my children, figure out this crisis, keep my mental health, and at the same time, like absorb the shock of what my team is going through as individuals and as contributors. So we did a few things. One is we went into like listen and test mode. Like in the beginning, we really just like went into test mode. Let's try a whole bunch of things. That lasted about 1 or 2 weeks. And then what we realized was nobody knows what they're doing right now. We don't know what's going to come out of this. What we need to do is listen. And so we went into like a 4-week, relatively quiet period of listening to our customers, listening to our partners. We emailed and called over 1,000 people one-on-one. Through this, for the team, we basically went into a very dramatic prioritization mode. Like, what are the things that matter? Everybody should feel entirely empowered to not do any busy work, to drop everything that like legit does not matter, as long as we kind of talk about it. And then the other big thing for us, and this was part cash management measure, part leadership decision, we all talked about it together. So this was not a top-down decision, but my team and I all decided to go half-time for the month of April. What month is it? For the month of April and the month of May. We ultimately decided to go up 75% in May, and we're going to be back full-time in June. But this coincided with our availability to to actually perform any work at all. You know, and I'm lucky, I have a small team and we're able to do this. We have enough, we certainly worked really hard to get enough cash in the bank that we have a long runway. So that this is all coming from a place of like, the cash management is taken care of, and that is a very big privilege. But I basically drop the expectation that anybody is working full-time at any point. We don't have any expected hours that you are supposed to be online. We just ask that everybody is online for our daily stand-up, and that you like make any commitments that you put on your calendar, right? Other than that, you work when you need to, right? Like you get your things done when you need to. We load balance with each other. So if somebody can't do something, somebody else jumps on board. And then the other thing that I want to mention here is I want to send some extra special love to those people who are not parents and are sharing teams with people who are parents. Because I think, you know, it's certainly really hard to be a parent right now. But some people are having to like jump in and do more, and are doing so, and while also going through a global pandemic. So, you know, there's no right answers right now. And I think that everybody is just trying to do their absolute best. I think for us, it's one, survival of the company, and mental health for everybody, health, right? And two, the big thing that I ask myself and that I ask my team is like, I think when this is over, it's not going to be about whether we succeeded or failed at anything in particular. It's whether we're proud of who we were and how we behaved, and what actions we took during the hardest times. So that's what we're trying to focus on.
And Xiao, we don't have enough time, but maybe you can tweet about it lately, like how you've been setting expectations as a parent and as a leader. Really quick, what is one thing that you will be taking away from this experience, and as an employee or as a leader or as a parent? What's your biggest takeaway?
Fundamentally, it's empathy, right? Like where I've always had parents on my team, and I've never truly grasped like what they go through and how it works. And you know, maybe this is just music to everyone's ears who also dealt with you know, potentially managers or leaders like myself. And you know, I think fundamentally, you know, it forces like actual managers and leaders to have to define and actually do more work in defining what success looks like. And I think it's so easy before to like sort of just punt on this amorphous idea. But the clearer that you can actually provide like what are our objectives, what are our OKRs, what are the goals, what are the things that we need to reach in order to survive and thrive as an organization, then the far more freedom and flexibility people have, especially parents, but even non-parents, to be able to form their life around what it takes to like reach those goals. And so fundamentally, like it does require more work, right? And like back in the day, you just show up at the office, you see other people there, you don't have to think as much. But now it's like that level of clarity, that level of communication, and that actually, you know, the hope, and we're still working on it, can actually lead us to be a much stronger organization in the long run, because people are able to do work in the way that like they can best do it, at the times that they can best do it, in the manner that they can best do it. And so that's the really exciting part, looking forward around, you know, what are continued areas that we can explore and experiment and figure out.
So great. All right, everyone, where can everyone find you on social media?
Thank you to the person who says that we are coherent. That's a win. I am on Twitter at Leslie Feinzaig. You can find our company at femalefounders.org online. And my personal website, lesliefeinzaig.com. Ruth needs a nap. She's signing out.
Yeah, how about you?
And then I'm on Twitter at Xiao Wang, so XIAOWA. Also on LinkedIn. Our company is Boundless, so BOUNDLESS.com.
Great. And I am Jess_Eggert, EGGERT on Twitter. And our company is LegUp at LegUp_care. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Melinda. Thanks for having us. The whole Change Catalyst.
This was so great. I love it. Smiles. It's super, super cool of you all. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. You did great.